From pilots to ground crew, aviation has developed its own fascinating language over the years. These slang terms not only sound cool, but also reflect the unique culture of flying. Today, we're taking a deep dive into some of the most intriguing aviation slang terms and uncovering their origins. Stick around because you're bound to learn something new about the skies. Let's start with a classic phrase: kick the tires and light the fires. If you've ever watched a military movie, you've probably heard this one. But where did it come from? This term is thought to have originated with military pilots during pre-flight inspections. The kick the tires part refers to physically checking the tires before a flight, just like drivers might do for a road trip. It's quick and informal, but it gets the job done. Light the fires refers to igniting the engines, especially in older aircraft, where starting the engines wasn't as automated as it is now. Over time, this phrase became shorthand for get ready and let's go. It's still used today, especially when pilots want to sound enthusiastic about taking off. Next, let's talk about cookers, which is a slang term for afterburners. Afterburners are those iconic jets of flame you see trailing behind military aircraft, especially during high-speed takeoffs or supersonic flight. Why the name cookers? Well, afterburners work by injecting extra fuel into the exhaust stream, which produces massive amounts of thrust, but also a ton of heat. It's so intense that the area around the afterburner can reach temperatures hot enough to cook anything nearby. If you've ever stood near an aircraft on the tarmac, you know just how powerful even regular jet engines can be. Now imagine that amplified by afterburners. It's like having a portable rocket attached to your plane. Moving on to something a bit simpler, the term bird. In aviation, calling an airplane a bird is practically universal. This one goes all the way back to the early days of flight, when planes were seen as mechanical birds of the sky. Pilots and engineers were inspired by the natural world, particularly by birds, when designing early aircraft. Over time, the term stuck, and now it's a casual nickname for airplanes of all kinds. Whether it's a commercial jet, a fighter plane, or even a tiny Cessna, it's not uncommon to hear pilots refer to their planes as my bird. Now let's get into some communication slang. The phrase copy shot simply means message received. This term is widely used in both military and civilian aviation, where quick, efficient communication is absolutely critical. Imagine you're flying at 30,000 feet and air traffic control gives you a course correction. You don't have time to repeat the full message back every single time. Instead, saying copy shot or just copy lets everyone know you've heard and understood. It's simple, effective, and crucial in high-pressure situations. Here's another one you might hear during landings: dirty up. This refers to lowering the landing gear, flaps, and other components that disrupt the aerodynamics of the plane. Why call it dirtying up? Well, when a plane is in its cruising configuration, it's designed to be as sleek and aerodynamic as possible, like a race car cutting through the air. But when it's time to land, pilots need to increase drag and reduce speed. The landing gear and flaps make the plane less clean in an aerodynamic sense, hence the term dirty up. It's a critical step in the landing process, even if it doesn't sound very glamorous. Now, let's talk about pilots themselves. If you hear someone referred to as a hot rock or hot shot, it's usually a compliment, though sometimes it's used sarcastically. This term is used to describe a highly skilled pilot, someone who can pull off difficult maneuvers with ease. The phrase became popular during World War II, when ace pilots earned a reputation for their daring and precision in combat. Today, it's still used to describe those rock star pilots who seem to have a natural talent for flying. Ever heard of the term chop and drop? This one's a little more technical, but fascinating nonetheless. It refers to a technique where pilots reduce engine power to idle, chop the throttle, and then descend rapidly. This might sound risky, but it's often used in situations where a quick descent is necessary, such as emergency landings or avoiding bad weather. The key is for pilots to manage the descent rate carefully to ensure a smooth landing. The phrase itself is a great example of how pilots use shorthand to describe complex maneuvers. Here's a term that's found its way into everyday language: running on fumes. In aviation, this phrase is taken quite literally. It describes a situation where a plane is dangerously low on fuel, sometimes to the point where there's just enough left to make it to the nearest airport. For pilots, running on fumes is no joke. It's a high-stakes scenario that requires careful planning and precise calculations. In everyday use, the phrase has come to mean barely making it, but in the skies, it's a situation no pilot ever wants to face. Have you ever noticed planes queuing up on a taxiway, one behind the other? This is called a conga line. The name comes from the way the planes line up in single file, much like dancers in a conga line. It's a common sight at busy airports where air traffic controllers manage dozens of arrivals and departures every hour. While it might look like a traffic jam, these queues are highly coordinated to ensure safety and efficiency. Finally, let's explore a term used in military aviation: dry feet and wet feet. These phrases are used to alert air traffic controllers about whether a military aircraft is flying over land or water. Why is this important? In case of an emergency, knowing whether a plane is over land or sea can drastically affect the type of response needed. For example, a rescue mission over water might involve boats or helicopters, while a land rescue could require ground vehicles. It's a simple but effective way to convey critical information. There you have it, some of the most intriguing aviation slang terms and their origins. Whether you're a pilot, an aviation enthusiast, or just someone curious about the skies, these terms give us a glimpse into the unique world of aviation. Which one was your favorite? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more high-flying content. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies.